Hi, and welcome to the Coffee Chat Etc. podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Cox, and today I'm delighted to welcome another inspiring guest. Before we begin, I'd just like to let you know that today's conversation touches on sensitive topics. If these subjects feel difficult for you, please listen with care and take whatever support you need. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who may need to hear this conversation. Every share helps us reach more women who are looking for hope, connection, and encouragement. Today, I'm joined by Annie. She's all the way from Melbourne, Australia, and together we explore growing up in Romania, overcoming childhood trauma, and the transformative power of personal development. So grab yourself a coffee, get comfy, and let's start. Hi, and welcome Annie, all the way from Melbourne today. How are you, Annie?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. You're looking radiant as ever, and I'm loving your jumper.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've just had a chat, so it's autumn over there at the moment, isn't it? So it's cooling down for you.
It is. It's so interesting. I'm originally from Romania, and then we migrated to Australia. So for me, it's still after 44 years, it's still weird that we are the complete opposite kind of to the rest of the world.
I can imagine. And I'm guessing that it was quite cold in Romania.
Well, it was. We had the snow and the whole thing going on, and we had snow on New Year's Eve and at Christmas. And here we're having barbecues in shorts and pool parties for Christmas. It's out there. It's very different. Yeah,
definitely. It sounds it, but it sounds very good as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. So Annie, tell us what life was like growing up in Romania. You were actually born there. Were your parents Romanian?
Yeah. So I was born a long time ago.
Like all of us.
Yeah, 1966, good year.
And, a very good year.
Yeah, so I was born in a city called Arad near the border with Hungary. So my dad was kind of like from the Hungarian kind of background, and my mom was pure Romanian. So they came together. So I speak both languages, and it's interesting.
Oh, wow.
Romanian with a Hungarian accent, Hungarian with a Romanian accent, and English with God knows what accent. So
I can, yeah. I've got the Eastern and I've got the Australian as well.
Yeah, so sometimes it sounds real Australian, and then sometimes I pronounce things like the English do, and then sometimes very Americanized. So it's okay. I have an accent. So so I grew up there. I remember when I was a kid, I remember the riches of the land and the markets that were full of beautiful fresh food and live chickens, and my dad used to buy the chickens and cut their throat, and then we would boil it, and I had to sit there plucking. So it was old world. And then I remember when things started to get really, really bad in the country, and we reached a point when I was about, I don't know, say from 12 onwards, 14 onward, there was no food. You couldn't find food. There was no heating, electricity. So imagine, minus 20 degrees, minus 25 degrees and eating in the house. So we'd be sleeping the dunas with jackets and gloves and hats. And I guess something like that makes you really appreciate what you have now, the opportunities. Like I'm 60 now, but the opportunities I have, and I tell you what, I don't take any of it for granted. Life is good. Yeah, it's got its challenges, but life is good. And I think one of the things we need to always look at is gratitude and acknowledge what's working in life, not what's not working, because we spend a lifetime worrying what's not working. It's not getting us anywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that the Tony Robbins, who I followed for most of my life, he always says, where focus goes, energy grows. So if you're focusing on the negative, it just gets bigger and bigger. If you're focusing on the positive, it gets bigger and bigger. So choose very carefully what you focus on.
That's right. I'm actually planning to go to do Date with Destiny in December in Florida. So
I'm so jealous.
This is the second time I've done it in 2018.
Oh, really?
And I have to say, it was like the cherry of the top of the cake of the personal development arena. It's like every puzzle piece that you collected over if you're into personal development, your personal improvement, and you learn different things from different teachers. And I felt at the time that Date with Destiny was the program that I brought all my pieces and everything fell into place. And I'll tell you, it was like the personal development rave of the century.
Yeah. Really?
5,000 people going off, having a great time. We slept maybe like 4 or 5 hours a night. We would go from 10 o'clock to 3 in the morning and never felt tired. It's amazing to experience joy, happiness within a massive community of people that are all there for the same reason, to better the quality of their life. And I think
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been to Unleash the Power Within on a few occasions, and during COVID, actually, it helped me because I did 2 of the Unleash the Power Withins in quite quick timings, actually. But what I found was that it just gave me that boost that I needed to get through and to relearn who I was and, to continue with the work that I was doing already. Did you find, though, because that's a really interesting subject to talk about, is self-development, because I've done it since I was 21 when I was first handed my self-development book. And I found that it helped me to take small steps to becoming better at my job, about becoming more healed within myself. But when I went to the UPWs that Unleash the Power Within, I kind of was quite high for about a month, and then I started coming back down again. Did you get that with Date with Destiny?
By the time I did Date with Destiny, so that was 2018. So I started personal development in 2010. And one of the first things that I did was Landmark. Have you heard of Landmark Education?
I haven't, no.
So Landmark is like it's a day, 3-day, and then they have an extra day program where you locked away for 3 days with a bunch of people, and they take you through 10 distinctions. And that was the very first time ever that I was exposed to thinking and tapping into myself. And I think one of the things that happened, so day one, so it started at 8, and at 9 a.m., the leader, the lady that was teaching, asked a question, and she said, "What would people say at your eulogy?"
Okay,
First, I didn't understand what a eulogy is.
Right.
I asked the person sitting next to me, and they told me. And then I sat there and I felt, I'm emotional even now thinking about that moment where I thought, well, nobody's going to say anything about me. Nobody loves me. I don't exist.
Wow.
I don't matter. Like, what are people going to say about me? And like now when I think back, I go, wow, how many people out there sit there where they haven't been seen, they haven't been heard, they feel invisible, they feel like they don't matter, and and they're insignificant. And that's how I felt. And I sat there and I went, why am I feeling this miserable? Now, fast forward 16 years of being involved in this personal development arena on many levels, big things like Tony Robbins, one-on-one life coaching, healing, inner child work, energy healing, lots of different things. Now, I know what they're going to say. I know they're going to talk about with love and fun and laughter, and they're all going to say, "Oh my God, Annie just loved dancing and this, that, and the other." And they're going to have right?
Yeah.
But it's not about what they're going to say. It's who I know I am now. And it's amazing.
And
that's
powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah.
To know who you are now.
Yeah. And I think when you are dedicated to contributing, and this is like what you are doing with what you're doing now, you're building something because you want to bring together like-minded women that can share amazing stories that can elevate other people in the world, other women in the world. And I have a theory, if I may share it. So
Go for it, Annie.
after the experiences of the last couple of years, especially in 2020, there was a lot of hurt. There were a lot of challenges. And I have this feeling that as women, we are nurturers and the world needs nurturing. So I think it's quite valid and it's the right time for women to step up and use their feminine and use their nurturing. It doesn't mean you can't be a powerful woman and a strong woman, but if you come from that place of love and you really nurture people and everything we have learned, I mean, it would be remiss of us not to share what we've learned with other people. Now, if they take it on, they take it on, but if they don't, well, that's okay too. But what if we say something and that's going to shift somebody else? And that brings me back to the eulogy. I know for a fact that people will say, she changed my life, because I've heard so many times since. But I decided then I need to figure this out. What does this mean? My parents love me. Nobody loves me. I grew up in a very violent home, abused physically, mentally, emotionally, like to arrive at the age of 44 to feel like, well, I am a nothing. My marriage is falling apart. I'm arguing. I get annoyed with my friends. I'm always angry. I don't like that about myself and blah, 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 blah. But there was something about that question that I just went, wow, that I feel really awful about me. So I spent the next days crying from 8 o'clock till midnight.
Wow.
So triggered again and again, but I listened to what they were saying. Clearly, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And that was my first moment, right?
Yeah.
You know that one, right?
That's my saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And I took it all in and I listened and it made a lot of sense. And then one of the things that we had to do is to make a phone call to the people that we want to close like the circle with. So even though I was having problems in my marriage, I knew that the bottom of it all is my upbringing and my parents. And I was terrified. All my childhood fear came up and I'm like, I can't call them. I've been estranged for them. Like, what's it going to be like calling, saying hello? What am I going to say? And I didn't want to yell at them. I didn't want to blame them. The leader looked at me on the second day at night and she said, you haven't made the call yet. And I'm sitting there going, how does she know? And I said, no. She said, you can't go to dinner until you make the call. And then made this guy next to me keep me accountable. And he looks at me and goes, I'm hungry, so you better make that call. So I make the call. I get the answering machine because my parents were very paranoid. And then I thought, well, I called and I left a message. So dinner, I did my homework. And I come back. She looks at me, she goes, oh, you got the answering machine. And I'm freaking out thinking,
oh, wow.
What?
How'd you know?
I'm like, yeah, because I didn't want to lie. And then the following morning, I cannot remember what she said, but I got so empowered and I just went, that's it, now or never. So I went outside, I made the call and I made a decision that if the call is going to go well, then I'll have them in my life as they are. Doesn't matter. They had interesting ideas. If it doesn't, then I don't want to have anything to do with them. Just because I'm his child, because my mom died when I was 4 and he remarried. So I had a stepmother who's, anyway, I don't want to talk about it in a bad way anymore.
I get it.
It was what it was. And if they don't, then I don't want to have anything to do with them. And there was a lot of abuse, very colorful language. My father called me names that was a father should never call his daughter, like in my world.
Is this on the phone call that you were making?
On the phone call. On the phone call,
Wow. Okay. That must have been hard for you.
No, it wasn't. I don't know what happened that morning between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, whatever she said, because that I can't remember, but it's irrelevant. What matters is that I just stepped into this person who was very clear on what I'm accepting and what I want.
Yeah.
Just because they're my parents, that doesn't mean that they can be toxic and abuse me again and again. I'm a woman. I'm 44 years old. I'm a mother. So don't you tell me that I don't know anything and treat me like a child, because I'm a grown woman.
Grown
right?
ass woman. That's what I say.
I want to swear, grown ass woman. That's right. And I hung up and I felt this empowering energy come through me. And if I didn't experience this, you would probably say this is bullshit. But as I sat in my car, I started to make these sounds like this. And this black smoke started coming out of my mouth.
No way.
And I sat there and I opened my window and I'm going, I don't know what's happening here. And this black stuff was coming out. It reminded me of Ghost. You know the movie Ghost when bad people died and this black thing.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there with my phone in my hand. I turned it off and I'm like, what's happening here? And it's and it kept coming from my chest and it kept coming and it seemed like it went on forever. And then the black turned into dark gray, then it turned into white, and then it was done. And I sat in the car and I'm going, did anybody see this? And then I started clutching onto my chest because I thought that I couldn't breathe. And I was going, because there was this huge space in my chest now.
Yeah.
And that was freedom. It's just everything that sat there for so many years just left.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, wow. And from that moment, I went, I want to understand how people do this work, that they help somebody get such freedom like I did in that moment. And I went back and she goes, oh, you made that call and it was a good one. I said, oh, yes. I said, I don't want to see.
Okay.
And I said, I decided that I don't want them in my life because they're too busy blaming me for things that happened before I was even born. So these people were in their own world and they were not open to anything, right? And then my curiosity grew and then the rest is history. Clearly the student was ready and all these amazing teachers from around the world came into my life and I learned and I grew and I transformed and I stepped into who I am. I met Annie, not Annie the wife, Annie the mother, Annie the daughter, Annie.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing. And by the way, I elevated, so I ascended and then I really crashed. But now I understand what that is. Like when we elevate, it's not just our good feelings, it's all of us elevate. So when we crash, it's all of our negative feelings crash. So when you become that all of you elevates, then before you get all the way to the bottom, you can stop it. So that's just something learned along the way, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. So let's go back over that. So when you elevate and go through these incidents, you're kind of elevating yourself because you're clearing your energy. That's what it sounds like, a massive clearing of energy there. And then when you get to the top, you say we crash again?
Well, everything that goes up must come down. We, like, you know, when we have this great, like going to a Tony Robbins event, right? It's like so energetic and we are, you're in a room with 5,000 people. Just that energy is amazing. I got goosebumps just thinking about it. When you go home, you know, you ascended. There's this amazing feeling. You're invincible. So your spirit and your energy is all, and all your energy particles and life particles, they all elevate. But what goes up must come down. You can't be at that level forever because life happens. So then what happens? We start to go downhill. Now, if we are not aware of this and we're not understanding what happens when our spirit, our human elevates to that level, all of us elevate. It's not like, okay, all my good emotions are going to get heightened now, but we keep the negative ones down. We don't. It's just everything just goes up. But then as we come back to reality, you know, a normal life and we do things and the stresses of life come, we start to go downwards. But because if you're not aware, all of a sudden, all your fears and all your hurts and your frustrations and the anger and the sadness, whatever we have about certain things in our life, they're the ones that come down first. And then we focus on that so much.
Paying the bills.
That's right. Yeah. And we focus on that. Oh, I wish I was back there. So now we start chasing the high. So usually a good example
it's like a drug.
is, you look, for example, the rockers and the artists from the 80s, when they were forever. Sure. Imagine going out there and the adoration of the public. Then they're on such a high, they go back to their room, they have the big party, they have the booze, the drugs, the sex, the adoration. But eventually everybody goes, and then they go, what now? Because now I'm alone. But I love this high. So then they chase it. And then they chase. So what made me so high? Drugs, alcohol, sex, this, that. Yeah. So then they do that. Right. So unless you're
because they're getting their needs met.
Yeah. So you continue so that's why sometimes, got to be careful because there's people that keep going to all these seminars and programs. Mm-hmm. They love that energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely.
I love going to seminars. At least once a year, I got to go. Why? Because it is an injection of energy. It is meeting like-minded people. But I'm also very aware of the fact that I can't keep going to all of them just so I stay on a high. But now that
definitely not.
That all my emotion elevate, when I start feeling like starts dipping a bit, I go, ooh, okay, thank you for sharing. I understand and I accept the feeling. And then I go, what do I need to do now to get myself out of it? And one of the most powerful things that you can do is to do gratitudes, to get into gratitude, because gratitude changes your mood.
Yeah.
It looks at what's good in my life. It's not what's not good. There's things that don't work and there's things that work. So shift it. So I write gratitudes. What are the 10 things I'm grateful for? What am I bringing to the world? What am I happy about? Who is, tomorrow when I'm going to write my gratitudes, you're going to be in it because I'm so grateful that you gave me an opportunity to share myself with the world. So I don't look at, I had a bad day today. I was in class and I didn't like the teacher. And, I don't want to look at that. I want to look at what's working, right? And that's how you can actually keep, instead of crashing from session, allowed to come down a bit and then you go up. So it's a little bit of a wave, not a, dip. Yeah.
It's really interesting because after the last COVID Unleash the Power Within, I stopped watching and I stopped reading. And I don't know why. I just saw that Tony Robbins was going through basically a script. And I know that he meets people and he goes with the flow at that point in time. But a lot of it was very scripted, and he's admitted, even down to the time that he looks at the camera and starts crying, because repetition is his process. But I also did his training for coaching. So the strategic intervention, which I did a long time ago, and I did the first one. But what I do believe is that we all are living to get our needs met. And this is what happens. And when rock stars and people in the papers and celebrities are getting their needs met, it's because they have the need for significance over contribution to others. But I do agree with Tony Robbins that when you contribute, you get all your needs met, and that helps you to keep on a higher vibrational energy where you are giving to others. And I found that when I did the coffee group here, that when every Sunday we would meet and we would talk, and somebody would go, oh, okay, thanks, that's made a change in my life. And yeah, okay, that's great. You've given me this advice and that's made a change in my life. And that kind of spurred me on. And going now online and meeting people like yourself, Annie, who are very high vibrational energy. I can tell it even though we're online, because I'm excited and I'm almost on the same frequency as you now, because we've been talking about the same things. I think meeting women online that have gone through adversity, that have gone through the coaching sessions and the seminars and the workshops, offer so much more. And it's been great listening to you today and what you have to say, because we have a lot in common. So you're going to date with destiny soon, I'm guessing.
Well, I'm putting money on the side, and it's the plan, it's the goal, and
Yes.
we're just doing all the steps and everything else.
Yeah.
But really, I really want to go. I have this sense, just like in 2018 was probably one of the worst years of my life.
Oh no, how come?
I just everything that happened. And I think when a person decides to take responsibility for their life and they start to seek answers instead of blaming and pointing at other people, or it's because of
Sure.
you, and decide that happiness is my job, not somebody else's, and how I feel inside. What happens is people around you have known you a particular way, and then all of a sudden you talk different, you look different, you act different, and unfortunately, or people just not interested. Well, hang on, what are you doing? They just start like, oh, this is what happened to me. I was told, I went and I did UPW.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I was at a birthday, and one person said to me, "Oh, you think you're smarter than we are now?"
Okay.
And I looked and I said, "Well, no." I just enjoy learning. I said, if everybody here, there were 20 people there. I said, if everybody here would be able to support each other with their knowledge, we would, as a unit, as a community, it's been meeting for 3 years. We've been meeting every week and hanging out and laughing. But imagine all of our quality of life would be growing. I said, but you're upset with me because I go and do these things. How does what I do affect your life in a negative way? And I've learned something on my journey in personal growth. Somebody gave me this sentence, and I'd love everybody that's listening to write this down.
I'm going to write it down.
Yes. What is it about me, ...
Yeah.
that bothers you so much?
I like that.
So what is it about me running my own business that bothers you so much? What is it about me going to seminars that bothers you so much? What is it about me choosing not to have salt on my food that bothers you so much? And
I love that.
People in their track.
Yeah.
And that's because it's a lack of understanding. So it's not like, oh, they're bad people. They're not. But it's something that you said to me when we turned on our screen about, people, there's people out there that don't understand us and stuff like that. And then there's people that do. They don't understand, and they're just not used to it, and they're possibly not interested, but they do themselves. I do me. Yeah. And sometimes we just don't click. So that year I've lost a bunch of friends. I don't even want to say I lost them. It's just we decided to go in different directions.
Sure. Yeah.
And one of the other things that I learned about me when I realized that I haven't been invited to these weekly gatherings, and I started to see on social media that they were meeting without me, and I was very, very hurt. And then I remember going for a walk one night, and I stopped in my tracks and I went, I'm responsible because I've been preaching, I believe. I've been preaching and I've been carrying on that there's a better way, but they never asked me. And I made a decision that I'm not going to start telling people. If the people are carrying on about things that I know are working in their life, I listen. And that's what empathy is about. An empathetic person is not taking on everybody's feelings. It's going, I hear you, I relate. What are you going to do about it? And give it back to them. We don't have to carry somebody else's stuff.
No, definitely.
Everybody's responsible. And the way, say, for example, you and I have had an opportunity to grow and learn, so do they. Now, if they don't but we don't need to carry all of that for them. And sometimes we do for people that we love, for our best friends, we see them struggle in that. But eventually it reaches a point where like, okay, what are you going to do about it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can empathize.
Sorry?
So I can empathize with you for that, Annie, with friends falling along the wayside, because I had an episode last year where there was a certain person that took a dislike to me. And I kind of understood that not everyone can like you and not everyone will care about you. But actually what happened was that triggered so many insecurities for me. But that was my responsibility to go and fix, because I'm not in control of their behavior and I wasn't in control of what they would say to other people. But what I was in control of was my security within myself. And actually it was a pivotal moment for me to start loving myself and to start caring about myself. And and now I see, if people don't want to be in your life, that's fine, because we're on different paths, we're on different wavelengths. And I think yourself and I, we want to learn, we want to grow, but also we want to provide service for others in some form, some way. And that's what we're working towards. It's not just a very, a bubble. We don't live in bubbles. We live in an expansive world where people need us.
Yes, it's so true. And the whole thing about the 6 human needs, the contribution factor, and that the contribution creates growth, and that's that's the growth and contribution. But that actually fuels all the other ones, the significance and the certainty and the uncertainty. I can't
the
remember.
variety.
That's the uncertain, and there's one more.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't remember.
There is. I always do this. I always forget the last one as well. So there's significance, variety,
Connection,
certainty.
love and connection.
Love and connection. How did we forget that one?
So when we
what would your top 2 be, Annie?
My top 2?
What would your top 2? Yeah.
A contribution and growth.
Yeah. Mine used to be variety and growth, but it has turned into contribution, which is where I get the variety and the growth and everything else. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Mine was actually love, connection and significance. So I was looking for significance in other people. And when I was at Date Destiny, I remembered he did an exercise about the 6 human needs, and I got goosebumps thinking about, just dropped. And I just went, my God, I matter. I matter to me. I don't need somebody else to tell me that I matter. But look, it's great when we feel seen and when we feel heard by somebody else, and especially a partner, when we feel that significance and we feel like we matter and we are
absolutely
a priority, and that's okay. But when we rely solely on that to make us feel like we matter, then that creates a whole bunch of other stuff. But when I know, well, I matter now, I don't matter to you the way I would like it or the way you see it. Okay. I can't do anything about it. And that's like an energy thing between 2 people. You can't force someone to love you. And as a former relationships architect, I work with marriages.
Of course,
looking at the dynamics of people. And Tony Robbins says, your pain becomes your gain.
Yeah.
And my pain, the breakdown of my marriage, and I loved and adored my husband, right?
Yeah.
But there was incongruency in our energy, and we didn't know how to communicate and how to, and people talk about sexual intimacy. That comes after emotional intimacy. Into me, you see, like in that movie Avatar, I see you.
I see you. Yeah.
Me, you see. And we couldn't see into each other. It wasn't just him, it was me too.
Right. Yeah.
And,
of course. It's always 2.
Yeah. And then I wanted to go figure out, I wanted to be a better wife. That was the reason why I went and I did Landmark. But I became a better Annie, right?
Yeah.
Along the way,
of course.
found Annie.
Yeah.
And Annie kind of fell in love with Annie. And Annie kind of wanted to understand, why does Annie do certain things, right? So then I went on that journey. So that's 16 years later.
Yeah.
And I think the more growth that you do, the more your capacity expands to deal with deeper things, right? Because there's stuff right down in there, even in your gut. But first you start with the surface stuff, and then as your capacity opens up, you go deeper and deeper and deeper. So I highly recommend everyone, like books are great, videos are great, podcasts are great. And then you got to do something that's experiential. So either you get yourself a one-on-one coach who deals just with who you are, or you go to these programs and seminars where you are experiencing something because they design that way, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think the embodiment of our knowledge, because everybody has knowledge. We've been drummed knowledge into our heads since we were kids and in school and everything. But what's important is the knowing in your heart. Do you know? Really?
Yes.
So you know how sometimes you help your friends and you tell them something and they go, I know. And you go, well, if you know, why don't you do it? And somebody gave me a rule. My very, very first life coach said to me, you cannot say, I know until you've done it. And I was like, what?
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
He said, because you don't know. Logically you do, but you haven't experienced it. So you really don't know what the outcome is and what it feels like. Logically, we all solve problems for everybody and we know better. Like
of course.
Single people telling you how to have a relationship, or people that don't have children telling you how to be a mother.
Yeah.
People that are broke telling you how you should make money.
Yeah.
Right?
We all know. Yeah. We all know how to do it. Yeah. But we don't do it.
So that was quite a practice. And that's the thing. Take one thing that you've learned, even if you've learned it in a book, and then go and practice it and figure out how does this relate to your life. Take responsibility.
And if you're a lifelong learner, you do that. And Annie, I can tell that you've done that. You know, you've walked the walk and you've talked the talk. And I've done the same as well. But I still do sometimes. Yeah, I know I've got to do that. And I don't, and I think it's taking action in that momentum at that time when you go, I'm going to do it. And you've got to be brave enough to take that first step and do what you know you should be doing. In fact, we don't should all over ourselves, do we?
Well, I actually think that the words must, have to, should, and need to, I think they have a place in our vocabulary, just like the word but, right?
Yes.
It has a place, but I think the greatest thing is learning about when to use that to benefit us. Like, for example, let's say you're overweight and it's affecting the way you walk. Well, you must do something about it.
Yeah.
Right? But when, let's say, another overweight person tells you, well, you must and you should lose weight, it's like, hello?
Yeah. I get you.
It's
a different directional energy.
But even if it's a fit person cannot tell you what you should, because then that becomes judgmental. So we got to be so careful with language. And this is not about, like, in this world, everybody's insulted at the moment about different things, right? But I should get healthy. Why? Because I want to live a long life, because I want to have grandchildren, because I want to contribute to the rest of the world for the rest of my life, like Louise Hay did. But I also want to.
Yes.
Right? But, I'm going to share something that I just experienced about half an hour before I came onto this podcast.
Oh, okay.
So
sounds good.
Since in June, it's going to be 10 years since my husband and I broke up.
Okay.
And I have not had a relationship.
Wow. In 10 years?
In 10 years, not a relationship.
Sure.
Right? I went on one date that was, oh my God. And
I can see your face. The audience can't, but I can see it didn't go well.
It was interesting, but I learned from that.
Yeah.
And today I went out for my first date.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I went speed dating last week. Girlfriend asked me, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I always wanted to try it. I've seen it in movies. Let's go and have some fun. And it was great. It was interesting. And there was the one gentleman that we laughed a lot. And then he said, would you like to catch up? I said, sure. So it was like, let's call it a mini date. But the whole time I was sitting with everything that I know and considering I did relationship coaching. coaching, my little voice went crazy. What do I do now? Do I have to date? I don't think I've got that energy, but like, is he going to expect me to like him? Oh my God. And I
Okay.
was stressed and I was freaking out, and I thought, I think I've been alone for way too long. The last time I dated was 30 years ago when I met my ex-husband, when we actually dated. And I got to a point, and if I flirted with somebody in the last 10 years, they thought, that's it, that's a green light, let's go. And it was like, oh my God. So I shut myself down, and I came to the realization as I walked home from the coffee shop that, wow, maybe I'm not ready to go there.
Oh, wow.
But up until now, I didn't say, I'm too busy with work, and I was busy, growing my son, and lots of excuses. So just because personal development, it doesn't mean we don't have psychosis. Right? And
I love that.
oh man, and I'm a dancer. I love dancing. So I go out dancing. And in all the 10 years, I have not had a man approach me. Now, I might not be the best looking chick on the planet, but I'm not ugly either.
You are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But I've had no one come and ask me to dance, or come and talk to me and say, hey, and ask me out on a date, like when we were in our 20s. And it's like, what's wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with me, but I think and then I had to look internal and go, it's my energy that I put out there. Is it, do I I'm better than the rest of them? I'm like, wow, after all these 16 years of learning, and I still have, like, oh my God. So I just think that no matter what, we are human beings first and foremost, and we need to take it easy on ourselves and go, well, what now? So now they're okay. Tomorrow I'm going to journal, or even tonight I'm going to sit down and journal a little and start tapping into myself. What's coming up for me? What's coming up for me? And maybe give myself permission to be okay with that. I wasn't attracted to this gentleman with the chemistry, but I really enjoyed his company, and it was great, And I did tell him, I had the courage. I did have the courage to say, I don't know how this works, and I don't want to lead you on or anything like that. And he said, you know what? He goes, just be you. He goes, if we're going to be friends, we're just going to be friends and catch up for coffee. He goes, if you want to roll around the hay, just give me the sign and I'll be happy to roll around the hay with you. And I was like,
I'm sure he would.
And he was so direct, but he was so comfortable in himself. And I thought, wow, I could have had a better first date than with this gentleman who was so self-assured, and he was okay either way. And I was like, wow. Yeah, so I'll go out from coffee, but I am okay for it not to go anywhere also, because if I don't feel it, I don't want to force it, because I think that's what I need to do as a woman,
Absolutely. And I think the more that you love yourself and the more that you take care of yourself, the less you need somebody else to validate that, or to take you out, or to have a relationship even, because the connections that you form around you kind of power you up anyway. And if he's another gentleman that's going to have coffee with you on a Sunday or a Friday, and you're going to sit there and chat, why not?
Yeah, well, it's really funny because he's very jovial. He's very, very jovial, extremely intelligent, lots of great stories and life experiences. And he was telling me about a coffee shop that he goes to that's called Handsome Hurricane. And I just lost it. I started laughing. Well, you know what? The next coffee, we're going to have it at that coffee shop. I said, but you have here before me, and when I enter, I'm gonna go handsome and his name, and I'm gonna. And he goes, all right. He goes, you're on. You have to do that. So now it's
excellent.
So
great.
And I just wanted to share this story because you said just recently you had something, and then, and I know how us people that do a lot of this work think, yeah, but I should know how to deal with that. not
Mm.
with everything. Sometimes it's like
Yeah.
we get stumped and go, wow, what now?
Yeah, definitely. And with you telling me that story, Annie, what I was thinking is, I don't know if you've read the Gabriella Bernstein self-help book, but
No.
she uses integrated family systems therapy. And I think she's just become qualified. But this was a book I took away, last year, for a couple of weeks to a retreat, which was fantastic. And what it says is when these thoughts come up, it's a child that's stuck within you, or a child energy that's stuck within you at a certain year, a certain age, something's happening. And to me, when you said that, it was the young Annie that was coming through going, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm fearful of this and what's going to happen. And I think when you look at that, what I do now is I go, okay, how old am I? And which Annie is this, or which Tracy is this? And I can almost pinpoint the child that caused this. And it's almost going, okay, you're fine. Actually, it's me that's going out there. I'm an adult. I can handle this, but you need to just calm down. Or what do you need? Do you need a hug? Do you need some reassurance? And that's helped me get through the last couple of years when I've had that fear and I've gone, okay, who is this? So I've actually got an anxious Annie within me because my middle name is Anne. So I have an anxious Annie, and she pops up when anything new's happening, and I can hear it and I'm like, we're good. We're fine. What do you need right now?
I really love that you share that. So thank you. It's
No,
like,
you're welcome.
like we know things and we can hear it and read it many times, and then you hear it again and it really lands on a conscious level. Like I go,
Yeah.
holy. And when I was there, I looked at him and I said, I'm 16 right now. I said, I'm acting like a little
Really?
teenager. And he said, well, what would the teenager do? And I said,
Wow.
I said, when I was in my 20s, I said, I was out there. I didn't care about any of that. I said, why do I care now? I'm 60 years old. Why do I care now?
Yeah.
And what happened to your 20-year-old? And what would the 16-year-old want? And I go, wow. Like I've done a lot of inner child work, so I can tap into those ages. But I was sitting there and literally I was very aware of my body language. I had my knees together, my feet out. I had my hands here and up. And I go, and then my adult voice goes, what are you doing? This guy's looking at you and you act like a little girl. So then I called her and I said, I feel like I'm 16. He goes, well, what does she want? And I was talking to the right.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, he's been there, done that quite,
He sounds very emotionally intelligent, Annie. Marry him. No, kidding.
Extremely. And no.
Dear.
Extremely. But, so it's so interesting that all of this happened just before our call. It's like, wow. And I'm still inside my chest is still a bit of a, like, what was that about today?
Yeah.
And then I sent a message to one of my girlfriends who dates a lot, and she's doing great. And I said, Sunday, we're catching up for coffee because I need to talk to you about dating.
Isn't it amazing what a coffee chat, etc. does? It just brings this whole new meaning to it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Annie, it's been absolutely amazing speaking to you today. I've loved the energy that you've brought, and thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom, your golden nuggets, and your energy as well. It's brought the podcast to a whole new level.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think might benefit from this conversation. Every subscription, review, and share helps the podcast reach more people and keeps these important conversations going. And if you're wondering what's next, I'd love to welcome you to the Coffee Chat Etc. community, where you'll find coaching courses, our membership, and a supportive space filled with real conversations, encouragement, and inspiration for your next chapter. You can find everything at coffeechatexc.com. Until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and remember, every conversation has the power to create connection. See you soon.